Part 44. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 433. Don't drag it, it's going to break. The old man chopping wood screamed in horror. At this time, he was being dragged forward by Shen Jian's collar. The pain from being pinched in his waist had not dissipated, but now there were new injuries. He suspected that if he continued like this, he might not survive tonight. This human being is just like Dogecoin. Totally inappropriate. When did eunuchs deserve beatings? Wait, young man, you can't go in anymore, you really can't go in anymore, there is a ghost-faced tiger demon who eats ghosts inside. He has turned the entire Zipping village into his own territory. If you go in, you will become a ghost. Finally. The old man couldn't bear it anymore. Looking at the cordon getting closer, he said quickly. Hear this. Shen Jian stopped moving. With a dangerous look in his eyes, he said, Are you lying to me? Didn't you say that there is a ghost of the city god appearing inside? If it becomes someone else's territory, how can there be ghosts coming to pray for blessings? Little brother, although I am from Zipping village, I have moved to the outer circle since the ghost-faced tiger demon came here, and that ghost-faced tiger demon is the city god of the city god temple. Shen Jian frowned slightly. He slapped the other person on the forehead. Next time you speak, just tell me everything, otherwise I will let you know what it means to have an immortal touch my head and open up the heavenly spirit with every inch of strength. Old man chopping firewood. He was smiling on the outside, but mum on the inside. Please adapt your poem yourself. What the hell, if it weren't for the fact that I couldn't beat you, I would assign Bang Bang to give you 2 punches. Let you know what it means not to bully the elderly and the poor. But imagination is imagination and reality is reality. The old man who cut firewood looked at Shen Jian's increasingly dangerous expression and said with a smile, Little brother, this is what happened. Actually, our city god's temple in Zipping village is not working either. The so-called city god's temple fair is just a traditional activity, but everything changed when the ghost-faced tiger demon came here. The ghost-faced tiger took out a broken seal from somewhere and sat down at the city god's temple. A strange scene happened. The originally blurry stone statue of the city god gradually changed into the appearance of the ghost-faced tiger, and then the city god's temple was built. Lots of things about apparitions. After that, strange things happened frequently. More and more outsiders were attracted and gathered around the ghost-faced tiger. The original villagers of Zipping village were all transformed into ghosts, wandering aimlessly. Walking in the village. After listening, the look of surprise on Shen Jian's face deepened. As soon as I sat down at the city god's temple, the stone statue of the city god turned into the other person's appearance. This is indeed the characteristic of the orthodox city god. Generally speaking, only the city god who holds the city god seal is qualified to have the city god's stone statue show his appearance. In other words, the ghost-faced tiger demon mentioned by the old woodcutter is really a city god. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Seal? Could it be the seal symbolizing the identity of the city god? This ghost stole the identity of a city god from one side and became the local city god in Zipping village? Think of this. Shen Jian became somewhat interested. In this thrilling game, there is such a thing as the orthodox city god seal. Seeing Shen Jian fell silent. The old man chopping firewood struck while the iron was hot, Little brother, now you know why I stopped you, and the hundreds of fierce ghosts I said are not false. There are really hundreds of red-clothed level monsters gathered around the ghost-faced tiger. There are a lot of powerful ghosts at the Ghost King level among them. Once discovered, we are dead. While he was at it, he noticed that Shen Jian started to move again. Old man chopping firewood. Grass. You kid is so careless. He couldn't hold himself any longer. Dare to tell him the truth, but the other party turned a deaf ear. This time, he couldn't calm down anymore. Because everything he said is true. Otherwise, why would he move out of his home and create a living place alone in the deserted outer circle of the village? It's not too dangerous inside. So much so that he, a top red-clothed level ghost, didn't dare to stay. Seeing that Shen Jian did not listen to advice. The old man chopping wood was anxious. Young people should not be too arrogant. Shen Jian said casually, if you are not young and vigorous, how can you still be called a young man? Say it. Shen Jian smiled. This trip really came at the right time. There were unexpected gains other than conquering the Queen Mother's mission. With hundreds of red-clothed powerful ghosts and many ghost kings, the harvest has been considerable. Coupled with the addition of a city god who was not inferior to the abyss-level ghost king, he was very satisfied. Think of this. Shen Jian walked faster. Just stepped into the inner village. The sky outside suddenly dimmed. It showed a dimness that only existed at midnight. Shen Jian walked in. The old man chopping wood followed him with a frightened expression. The players hang at the end. Be alert to everything around you. Soon. A figure came towards me. His movements were stiff, his pupils were dead, and he looked like a living dead. Little brother, get away quickly. These are ghosts. They don't have much sanity. But because of this, as long as you are not touched by ghosts, you don't need to worry about being attacked by supernatural beings. The old man chopping wood walked aside and reminded. Hear this. Players avoid them one by one in a reflexive manner. Fine. It's not too dangerous. After all, no one understands the principle of automatically avoiding ghosts when encountering them. Even if he is just a ghost slave, he cannot be underestimated. However, Shen Jian still stood where he was. Think about it. I plan to say hello proactively, hello, old guy. The words fell. The villagers seemed not to have heard anything and continued walking forward without raising their heads. Shen Jian curled his lips. You damn deaf man, don't get in the way. Said. Shen Jian walked on the street without giving in, pushing the villagers away. Walking in the middle of the road. A group of players. Old man chopping firewood. They were all stunned. No. Did you really selectively filter out what I said? A ghost slave is not scary. But if there are 10, 50, or hundreds of ghost slaves, the result will be different. If the ghost-faced tiger monster knew about it, the consequences would be even more serious. And this dog eunuch has absolutely no sympathy at all, and his qualities are even more touching. He looks like a bully running rampant in the countryside. He was able to kill a villager who had no power to restrain a chicken. Birth. Just thinking about it? The villagers who were pushed and fell by Shen Jian were filled with yin energy, and their pupils suddenly fell on Shen Jian. The ghost slave will not act without authorization from the source ghost. But as long as someone touches them, it is equivalent to triggering the killing pattern. The ghost slave will follow his instinct and kill the target that triggers the killing pattern. And the person he was eyeing was clearly Shen Jian. The villagers stood up. A face that had been dead for 7 days and 7 nights looked directly at Shen Jian. Getting ready to take action. He was kicked to the ground again by Shen Jian. He cursed and said, not only are you deaf, but you are also blind, right? Get away. After being kicked over by Shen Jian, the villager seemed stunned. Then he became angry. What little sanity he had left made him realize that he had encountered an unreasonable scoundrel. Damn it! I walk on the road well, just like you take the initiative to avoid it when you see it. Can't we avoid conflicts in this way? You are so bad. Pushed me away. He also called me deaf. I finally stood up, but you kicked me over again, called me blind, and told me to get away. Grass. You really have done many evil things and are full of evil. The most evil people in our village will not cause trouble for no reason. Shivering and cold. When will these ghost slaves stand up? Hey, you're still staring at me? It seems like you're not blind. If you're not blind, don't you know how to give way? What kind of quality do you have? Shenjian spat. Take out the morning stick and beat the opponent to death. Stuffed into sack. Although these evil ghosts are ghost slaves, they are still in the category of evil ghosts, not supernatural creatures. It is an achievement that can be recognized by the 18 hells. Do it all. Shenjian walked unscrupulously in the middle of the road holding a morning stick. If you encounter anyone who has no quality and see that he doesn't give way, you will be beaten to death. West Nazn. By the way, which direction is the city god's temple? Shenjian became more and more interested. In addition to the hundreds of red-clothed powerful ghosts from other places, Zipping Village also has a large number of local ghost slaves in the village. Each of these ghost slaves has a supernatural level of half a step above the red-clothed level. If you collect more, they can equal the number of hundreds of red-clothed level ghosts. Hear this. The old man chopping firewood came out of his trance. The look he looked at Shenjian was like looking at a tiger, leopard, or jackal. Just now, he watched with his own eyes as this human dog stuffed his uncle, nephew, and grandson into the sack one by one. But he dared not speak out in anger throughout the whole process. For the first time, he felt that he was inviting a wolf into the house. Maybe it would be better to let his uncle and uncle stay here as ghost slaves than to be taken away by this dog eunuch. Think of this. He was heartbroken. But due to Shenjian's power, he still said honestly, follow this road to the end, and you will see the city god's temple. Little brother, the ghost-faced tiger demon may have known about our movements. The old man chopping wood hesitated. Yes, then let's rush there as soon as possible. Shenjian thought for a while. I think so too. He immediately quickened his pace. Old man chopping firewood. Damn it. What I mean is that if there is too much noise, the enemy will already know my presence. We can just stay silent for a few days and then sneak in quietly. Who asked you to rush over as soon as possible? Rush to reincarnate. He gritted his teeth. He wanted to slip away, but after looking at the eunuchs following him, he finally followed him with the determination to die. Everyone quickened their pace. All the way across this village full of ghost slaves. Unexpected. A woman's cry for help and screams faintly reached everyone's ears. I'm so wronged. I feel so unjust, I didn't do it. I died so unjustly. The sound was not loud at first. But gradually, the sound became clearer and clearer in everyone's ears, as if it had magical powers, making them unable to help but walk in the direction of the sound. It was a house made of bricks. Compared with the abandoned and dilapidated houses around it, this simple brick house can be called brand new. No. We were discovered. The expression of the old man chopping firewood changed greatly. He was a top red-shirt man, but the moment the voice sounded, he followed the voice and walked over without any resistance. This showed that the source of the sound was much more terrifying than him. No ordinary ghost king can do this. Only the best among ghost kings can do it. It's over, we have really been discovered. Most of the fierce ghosts gathered in Zipping Village are surrounding the city god's temple. If they want to have their own independent residence, it cannot be done without the ghost king level or above. The old man chopping wood moved with difficulty and roared. Obviously fighting against this supernatural attack. The noise we made has been known to the ghosts here. Only the owner of the sound will attack us. We must leave as soon as possible. Young man, I am not kidding. Do you hear it? Shouted the old man chopping wood. I want to persuade Shenjian to leave as soon as possible. This is really deadly. Knowing that the enemy is already aware of their existence, but still jumping into the trap, how cruel is this? The current supernatural attack is just a precursor. But soon, the old man who cut firewood discovered it. Shen Jian didn't respond to him. When he was confused, he glanced away. But no trace of Shen Jian was found. With the help of the thin moonlight, he could vaguely see a figure walking towards the brick house where the sound came from at a speed faster than being controlled by a supernatural attack. Then, boom! The door was kicked open. A black figure holding a white bone stick broke into someone's home. "Jajaja, where are you?" "I, Bao Qingtian, like to help people redress their grievances the most." "Something strange is coming?" "Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace." Author, Shi Yu Bulletin Chi Gua. Chapter 434. Bang! The door was kicked open. A strange laughter sounded. "Injustice? If you have any grievances to say, it would make me happy. I will help you make the decision." As the sound rang out, everyone watched as Shen Jian rushed into the brick house with a white bone stick. Old man chopping firewood. A group of players. They were stunned. God is so vengeful. You are holding a stick and kicking open other people's doors this late at night. You don't seem to be trying to avenge someone else's grievances. This is clearly a village bully breaking into someone else's house. If Bao Qingtian dares to do this, he will be complained until he retires. Their facial muscles twitched. There was a strange look on his face. Didn't the supernatural forum say that this is a living bodhisattva and a good person? They detailed Shen Jian's various behaviors when he entered this place. Forcing a 70-year-old man to accept guests, beating him up if he didn't obey, and giving back other people's wastes. While walking on the road, I saw people with mobility issues who didn't know how to get out of the way. Instead, they were so bad that they pushed them over and even hit them with a rake. Now, he also armed himself with weapons and forced his way into other people's houses. No matter how you look at it, he is a thug with a bad personality. What does it have to do with being a good person? Oh, Shen Jian did claim to be a good person. But, do good people say they are good people? For a while, the players looked puzzled. They seemed to finally know why the poster on the Supernatural forum was so hesitant about Shen Jian's specific behavior in the thriller game. In the Supernatural forum, the popularity about Shen Jian has always been high. Every player who is lucky enough to participate in the same dungeon as Shen Jian will give full recognition to Shen Jian's performance afterwards. It is a compliment that spares no effort. But when someone left a message about what Shen Jian had done specifically, all the posters remained silent. This phenomenon adds a bit of mystery. People are becoming more and more curious as to what exactly Shen Jian did in the horror game copy to make him so respected by these players. Now, they may know why the poster remains silent. It's too bad to be brave. Speaking of, it has the intention of damaging Shen Jian's image. They are also very grateful to Shen Jian now. After all, if it weren't for Shen Jian, they probably wouldn't even be able to enter the village. But if someone asks what exactly Shen Jian has done, they thought for a while, but they really couldn't tell. The other side. While the inner world of the player is fighting, Shen Jian has already rushed in. It's very shabby inside. You can see the layout of the entire house at a glance. The strong smell of blood filled the entire room. Shen Jian looked around. A woman in white clothes hanged herself from the beam, her eyes turned outward, only the whites of her eyes, looking extremely penetrating. Blood was dripping from his wrist. The ticking sound was like dripping on the heart, which was creepy. At this time, the woman opened her mouth wide, as if she was preparing to continue shouting, to frighten the outsiders, to pretend, and then drive them elsewhere so as not to disturb her sleep. But the next moment, the door was violently kicked open. A man broke in. She stared straight at him with an excited look on her face. The dead man? She was confused. I was startled instinctively. No. I just cancelled the supernatural attack. Why the hell did you break in? Even if you are really weak and can't escape the supernatural attack, you shouldn't break in. The woman was stunned at this moment. Even the shouting movement stopped for a moment. At this time, Shen Jian broke in and spoke, "Are you crying for injustice? If you are still alive, speak up and I will make the decision for you." Shen Jian grabbed the morning stick and strode over. The dead man. She looked at Shen Jian's malicious expression, and then at the stick in his hand. The whole ghost couldn't stand it any longer. What a bastard! Do you really want to put away that malicious expression and tell me that you want to make the decision for me? Next moment, the woman's expression suddenly turned cold. She originally just wanted to put on a show and fool him, but since the other party ran over to him regardless of life and death, don't blame her for being cruel. Oh, it's you. You were the one who made me commit suicide. I'm so wronged. The woman in white clothes hanging from the beam suddenly stretched out a hand, pointed at Shen Jian, and shouted viciously. It was as if he was identifying her murderer. And as her voice spoke, penetrating supernatural waves swept across, with the woman as the center, and waves of supernatural echoes seemed to echo around her. The sound was like the babble of countless people. Short, mixed, harsh. In a trance, Shen Jian saw a group of people accusing him. Without saying a word or even investigating the evidence, these people accused him of being the murderer of the woman. And as these chaotic voices collectively denounced, Shen Jian felt unspeakable regret and self-blame in his heart, as if he had done something heinous. That kind of real regret made Shen Jian pause in his movements. Everyone pointed at him from the moral high ground, which made him feel strongly world-weary and wished he could kill himself and end his life. See this. The woman in white clothes who hung herself from the rafter showed a cruel smile. She increased her intensity again. Continue to point fingers at Shen Jian from the moral high ground. It's you, it's you. You killed me, you killed me. I'm so miserable. The voice sounded eerie. The supernatural fluctuations become more and more permeating. The power of the curse enveloped the entire house. Right now, a ghost king is standing here, and his heart will be filled with endless self-blame and regret, and he will uncontrollably beat his own head to pieces to atone for this. Shen Jian also slowly lowered his head. His expression became extremely sinister. So you saw it all. I had given you sleeping pills and disguised your body as a suicide. I didn't expect you to still find it, it shouldn't have happened. Said. Shen Jian raised his head with a strange smile. There was complete madness in his eyes. But now that you've discovered it, then just die to me again. The dead man. She was dumbfounded. Her psychic ability can create a kind of moral oppression on her enemies through her voice. Cause strong regret in the enemy's heart. In the end, I couldn't help but want to atone for my sins. She has seen countless reactions from the victims of her supernatural attacks. Some felt remorseful and ended their sinful lives, some became so angry that they told themselves not to scream, or perhaps they just defended themselves, saying that they just ignored her and did not harm her. But she just didn't think about it. The man humming admitted it. He even told how he killed her with a sinister look on his face. Now, planning to kill her again to keep the secret. She looked like a question mark. I also started to doubt life. How did she die? She really didn't seem to remember this. I only know that I hanged myself because I couldn't stand other people's gossip. Is there a possibility? Was she really killed? The murderer gave her sleeping pills and then pretended to be a suicide, making her think that she couldn't think about it and hanged herself? Think of this. The dead man's heart trembled. The look towards Shen Jian has changed. I just felt my scalp numb for a while. This was the first time she had a creepy feeling since she was promoted to Ghost King. Subconsciously, she reached for the hanging rope on the rafter. I want to stay away from this man who is suspected of being a murderer. It helps to clear up my somewhat mushy mind. But the next moment, Shen Jian also grabbed her ankle simultaneously. With a smile on his face, "Where do you want to escape? Only if you die will my secrets not be exposed. This time, I will disguise the murder as a secret room that cannot be cracked. When the time comes, I won't be afraid of being discovered." Hear this. The dead ghost turned pale. Shen Jian grabbed the pale ankle and kicked it desperately. Want to get rid of Shen Jian? Not 1 foot. Then use 2 feet. But it still doesn't work. Still being held tightly. Ah, no. At the same time, as the murderous ghost's shrill voice grew louder and louder, the old man chopping wood outside looked like he was about to cry without tears. Damned. I can't resist it anymore. To die, to die. He moved uncontrollably towards the brick house. And a group of players have already entered the house. His face was horrified. Facing the supernatural attack of a ghost king, how could a group of players with no more than 3 stars be able to resist? At the moment when the voice of the dead ghost sounded, they were attacked. If Shen Jian hadn't been faster, they would have been the ones entering the house now. But now, Shen Jian failed. The evil voice is still echoing. And louder than before. The sound was also more miserable. It was as if I had really been wronged. Soon, they all passed through the open door and walked in. However, when they saw what was happening in the house, they all opened their mouths and their expressions became even more exciting. Only inside the house, Shen Jian grabbed the woman in white clothes who was struggling on the beam and was trying hard to pull her down. The woman looked horrified, yelling at the top of his lungs. Listen to the sound. Shen Jian moved harder. Stop struggling, I'm here to help you. Don't you feel uncomfortable being strangled? Be patient, it might hurt a little. In this case, we can only sacrifice your head. At this time, as Shen Jian pulled down, the white silk wrapped around the neck of the dead ghost shrank more and more. Not only his intestines were green. My neck is also blue. Women are broken inside. Damn it, just be a human being. It's so painful for a god to be strangled to death. So what are you doing now? You must be deliberately trying to kill me. No, stop. I really don't know anything. I'm not wronged anymore. The woman screamed miserably. The voice became more sad and angry. She was a dead ghost who hanged herself to death, and now she was about to be strangled to death. This mother is so frustrated. She was so wronged, ugh. Hear this cry for mercy. Everyone's expressions were wonderful. A dead ghost full of grievances, now saying that he is not wronged anymore. You must have suffered some kind of torture to say something so contrary to your conscience. Do not know why. They suddenly felt pity for the dead man. It's really, too miserable. Just waiting like this. The evil ghost's voice became weaker and weaker. Crunch. At this time, suddenly there was the sound of branches being broken outside the door. Everyone's expressions changed. They are all in the house now. There should be no talent outside the door. So where did this sound come from? Everyone looked at it. I saw a pale face on the window carefully peering into the situation inside. See other people's eyes and look over. The atmosphere at the scene seemed to be quiet. Hear sounds. Shen Jian also turned around. He showed a sinister smile. Did anyone see me commit the crime again? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuladin Chigwa. Chapter 435. The atmosphere at the scene solidified the moment Shen Jian turned around. The knocker who was peering outside the window turned pale. Retreat subconsciously. Gan. Exposed. The knocker panicked. His original intention was to take over the outsiders captured by the evil demon. But accidentally saw the door open. Then he peered. Saw a scene that I will never forget. A man was flirting with a woman in the room and wanted to do something inappropriate. There were 6 men watching next to him. Immoral. Unsightly. Any aspiring young man who sees this situation will choose to stop it. But considering that he is old and frail, the knocker can only secretly spy on these people, record the crimes of these people, and then go back and report to the city god. Just didn't expect it. He was actually exposed. It's all because that man is too cruel. As a result, he subconsciously took half a step back and stepped on a branch. Next moment, the knocker saw a man coming out of the house. There was a sinister smile on his face, and he was holding a white bone rod in his hand. A ferocious look with malice written all over his face. Did you see that? The knocker shook his head quickly. Although he also has supernatural powers close to the abyss-level Ghost King. But the aura on this man was terrifying. And in terms of supernatural attacks, the terrifying intensity of the evil ghost is not much inferior to him. Even if the other party is killed, then there is a high probability that he will not be the opponent of this thug. Think of this. He denied it. Acting like I don't know anything. Sudden. Shen Jian said coldly, what color was it just now? Black. The knocker subconsciously responded, but then he reacted and covered his mouth. What the hell? This bitch was scamming him. When the dead ghost was struggling with his feet just now, because of the white skirt he was wearing, it was easy to see some details from his angle. Ha ha ha, you have indeed seen that in our line of work, the most outstanding thing is caution. Shen Jian grinned. The whale has been raised. Knocker. God is very cautious. If you were cautious, would you let 6 people stay and observe? What kind of killer would leave the door open while killing someone? To say you are an amateur is an insult. He groaned inwardly. The movement is not slow at all. After discovering that Shen Jian had seen through him, the knocker didn't hesitate, stood up and ran away. Half of my sandals were gone. One can imagine. What is his mood right now? Don't run away. I knocked on the door too. We are fellow villagers. Now that you're gone, I'm scared alone. Shen Jian shouted at the door. Knocker. He stayed in Bangview. Damn it. You're scared of your balls. When you are walking on the road, if others are not afraid, you are already burning incense. People know that ghosts are scary, and ghosts know that people's hearts are poisonous. He couldn't afford to offend him, so he went back to bring in reinforcements. Ran for a while. Not noticing anyone approaching from behind, the knocker suddenly showed a proud look on his face. Sure enough, as long as he ran fast, it was useless no matter how scary the ghost was. Is it amazing to know how to kill someone? It's not like you want to eat my ghost tail. As he thought about it, he couldn't help but burst into laughter. What's wrong? If you have something happy to say, it will make me happy too. That moment, a chilling voice sounded. There was a knock on the door and the smile on his face froze. Take a look. The man with the red hemp rope stretched around his wrist appeared directly in front of him at some point. Was looking at him quietly. Knocker. He froze. He glanced back. There is no trace of the brick houses anymore. This man clearly wasn't chasing him just now, so when did he run in front of him? Something happened to your kidney? He looked puzzled. See this? Shen Jian thought for a while. He said, do you know the limits of the human body? When faced with extremely dangerous situations, some people will break through the limits of the human body and gain strength and speed that ordinary people do not have. You can cut through waterfalls with a knife, and you can travel thousands of miles in a day without a single leaf touching you. Knocker? His pupils shrank. And this thing? He couldn't help but said, I was extremely angry for a whole day. I really felt that I had endless power. You want to say, you broke through the limits of the human body and gained the speed of traveling thousands of miles a day. This can you catch up with me? That's not true. Shen Jian said modestly, I just know how to teleport. Knocker. No. So what do you mean by talking loudly to me? After spending a long time explaining to me the limits of the human body, proving that everything in the world has laws, the next second you step on the horse, you tell me that you can teleport. You're really humming free. The knocker suddenly became angry. My uncle can tolerate it, but my sister-in-law cannot. His grimace became twisted and ferocious. He looked at Shen Jian with malicious eyes. Ghosts also have a bottom line, and ghosts also need dignity. This piece of shit is going too far. A gloomy wind blew. The knocker immediately started knocking on him. His body hides a door that he swallows. This is to prevent the supernatural combat capabilities from being reduced without buildings. Knock knock knock. The eerie knocking on the door echoed. The knocker kept knocking on the door under his belly. The echoing sounds became more and more terrifying. Then, just when the knocker was ready to observe Shen Jian's condition, Shen Jian's figure had already appeared in front of him. A hand clutched his head. The other hand raised the morning stick in his hand. Have you ever heard of a saying? If the devil refuses to accept it, he will crush his head with force. Click. There was a crisp sound of bone cracking. Thump. The knocker's eyes turned white and he fell to the ground. Do it all. Shen Jian was preparing to stuff the body into a sack. The corpse of a man wearing linen clothes jumped out. The eyes were bulging and the face was bloodless, like a corpse that had been dead for decades. At this time, the male corpse seems to be burying the body. Hearing the noise, he stood up and took a look, just in time to see Shen Jian committing murder. The male corpse's pupils were shaking. Who else dares to kill Chen Wang's people in the city's territory? How many kilograms of horse urine did you drink? I'm afraid even if you don't have 3 pounds, you won't be able to do this kind of thing. You killed him. The male corpse pointed at Shen Jian. An expression that says you are in dire straits. Sizzle. Shen Jian did not hesitate. 5 fingers. A bright white arc of electricity cut through the night sky, killing the man's body on the spot. He was left speechless. Subsequently, Shen Jian planned to stuff the man's body into a sack. After all, he is a top-notch redcoat, so he can't do without it. MS sir. At this time, another voice sounded. Shen Jian looked around. Not far away, a female corpse with a decomposed body ran over. He seems to be looking for his husband. Then, she saw Shen Jian grabbing her husband with one hand and stuffing it into the sack. Shen Jian. The scene seemed to be in embarrassment at this moment. The female corpse roared in shock, you killed him. I'm going to report to the city god. Click. The next second, Shen Jian grabbed the ghost knife. Cut off the opponent's fate. Prevent the other person from talking nonsense. Damage his reputation. It's you. You killed my parents. I'm going to report to the city god. Before he could go over and collect the body, another child corpse ran out. Pointing at Shen Jian, he spoke decisively. Shen Jian. He looked at the sky. Think about it. The ghost sword was replaced by the 7-star demon sword. Behead him, Shen Jian said to himself. A sword struck out. The head of the child's corpse fell off. Subsequently, Shen Jian went all the way down. The further down you go, the more evil ghosts you encounter. You killed them, I want revenge. Click. The other side. See Shen Jian chasing him out. The others did not dare to be careless at all and ran after him. Even the old man chopping wood is the same. It's not that he doesn't want to run, but he doesn't dare to run. Zipping village is now in dire straits. And their whereabouts have been exposed. To act without permission means to be alone. He didn't think that he, a top-notch red-clothed ghost, could walk out from here. But if you follow Shen Jian, it will be different. That dog eunuch indeed has no morals or qualities, but he can kill one ghost king and chase another ghost king. Its strength is much stronger than him. Only by following the other person can we get out. Soon, they caught up with Shen Jian. The knocker is gone. It seems that he didn't catch up. See this? The old man who cut wood hurriedly said, "Little brother, you have also seen it? If you let the other party run away, I am afraid that Zipping village has been activated. By then, there will be hundreds of red-clothed and above-level evil ghosts surrounding us. The top priority is to withdraw from the village and plan for the long term." It's not that he looks down on Shen Jian's strength. But hundreds of red-clothed and above-level ghosts are really scary. Even if the abyss-level ghost king comes, he has to avoid the edge for a while. Not to mention there is a ghost-faced tiger demon above the abyss level here. Once blocked, Shen Jian couldn't get out no matter how powerful he was. After all, it's not like the royal family of Yanjai Kingdom has never sent an abyss-level ghost king to investigate. But what's the result? No news. When it comes to this Zipping village, no one knows it better than him. Without the level of terror above the top ghost king, there is no way to solve the problems here. Those are you referring to? Shen Jian pointed behind him. Everyone was confused. Look behind you. Then, 3 views were shocked. I saw rows of ghosts hanging from ghost ropes in the open space behind Shen Jian, stuffing them into sacks one by one. The old man chopping wood watched. Everyone is numb. All are red code level. At a rough count, there are at least 100. At this time, these red-clothed and above-level fierce ghosts were like industrialized products, being thrown into the sacks one by one. These. The voice of the old man chopping firewood was distorted. He looked frightened. If he guessed correctly, these evil spirits should be outsiders gathered around the city god's temple. Otherwise, there won't be all red code level. Think of this. He was greatly shocked. I just feel like my head is buzzing. The players behind him were also stunned at this moment. They had overestimated Shen Jian's strength as much as possible. I think the speculation on the supernatural forum that Shen Jian has Ghost King level strength is 80% credible. But now take a look. How the hell is this a Ghost King level of strength? This is seriously exceeded. For a while, the players had an idea in their hearts, with Shen Jian here, they might really be able to clear this unprecedented 5-star dungeon. After a long silence, Gui's Hung finally packed up all these evil spirits. There was a bit of a smile on Shen Jian's face. I figured out the direction. Continue walking towards the Chenghuang temple. Soon, the city god's temple has arrived. It is said to be a temple, but in fact it is not much different from an ordinary ancestral hall. Old and dilapidated. There is nothing magical about it. But Shen Jian ignored these. He just wanted to know what the so-called city god was like here. Shen Jian took long strides. Stepped directly into the Chenghuang temple. Eyes scanning. The ghost-faced tiger demon mentioned by the old man who chopped firewood was not found. He only saw a 3-meter-high stone statue of the city god located in the center of the city god's temple. As can be seen, the stone statue of the city god looks like a kind old man. But I don't know why, but it always gives people a strange and cunning feeling, especially the eyes of the stone statue, which are dark and do not look like dead objects, but the pupils of some kind of feline. Shen Jian narrowed his eyes, getting ready to move forward. Abruptly, the 3-meter stone statue of the city god suddenly erupted with a burst of golden light, dazzling. The clay sculptures on the surface of the stone statues faded away. A face of the city god that was exactly the same as the stone statue was revealed. Then, the city god opened his eyes. The sound is like a loud bell. Why don't you kneel down when you meet the city god? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 436. At this time, the 3-meter-high stone statue of the city god shines with bright golden light, which is dazzling. As he stood in front of them, his clay body slowly faded away, revealing the face of an old man with an immortal air. A sacrosanct look. Saw this scene. All the players were furious. This appearance, this model, this temperament, anyone will feel extraordinary the first time they see it. And they also saw with their own eyes that the stone statue, which was originally a dead object, turned into an old man. What the hell is this, not a city god? If they were in another place and the other party showed up like this, they would have knelt down long ago. Especially in recent times, news about the arrival of the underworld, the resurrection of the king of hell, and the protection of a city by the city god have spread from 1 to 10, and to 100. Not to mention players, even ordinary people were vaguely aware of the news, but they couldn't be sure. Knowing that the theory of the city god is true, they thought it was natural to kneel down and worship the city god. Maybe it can really be blessed by the city god. Suddenly, the city god opened his eyes. Why don't you kneel down when you meet the city god? A terrifying momentum swept across. When the city god in front of him spoke, and coupled with his posture as if a god had descended into the world, his voice sounded like a bell, making people want to worship him. Among the 5 players, 2 of them were already kneeling. Shivering. Facing a god directly is too much pressure. They are just a group of mortals, and their ability to see gods is the result of the smoke burning in their ancestral graves. If they don't kneel down, if they anger the city god, their end will never be any better. The other 3 also did not persist. The moment the city god glanced at them, an indescribable palpitation surged into their hearts, as if they didn't kneel down, something bad would happen later. They buried their heads deeply, not daring to raise their heads and look directly at the figure of the city god. At this moment, the idea that the city god was a fake, a ghost-faced tiger demon in disguise, etc. were all thrown out of their minds. If this is false, then where is the real city god? The so-called ghost-faced tiger theory was probably not made up by the old woodcutter, deliberately deceiving them so that the city god could punish them. The other side. Shen Jian looked at the city god in front of him. He raised his eyebrows. This is not a real city god. But it can't be said to be fake. According to his judgment, the ghost-faced tiger in front of him indeed had some of the abilities of the city god. But they are all inherited. After occupying the city god's temple, part of the meritorious golden body of the city god's stone statue itself was taken away. Use the sporadic bits of city god's magic. This also proves why the other party can hear other people's prayers. But perhaps because of the invasion, the ghost-faced tiger was unable to exert the power of the golden body of merit, let alone control everything in the city god's temple, and could not even open up the space of the city god's temple. I can only guard a stone statue of the city god. Shen Jian was thoughtful. The city god here is a city god who has condensed his merits and virtues into a golden body. He cannot be considered mediocre in the ranks of city gods. But now only the stone statue of the city god and the dilapidated city god temple are left. No one knows where they went. Thinking. The ghost-faced tiger demon was unhappy. He stared directly at Shen Jian. His eyes were full of majesty. Yo-ho! Others are kneeling, how dare you not kneel when riding a horse? Are you not giving me Mr. Who face? Be brave, why don't you kneel in front of the city god? Do you want me to go on a killing spree? The ghost-faced tiger scolded angrily. The golden light that filled the whole body was even stronger, and terrifying supernatural fluctuations mixed with a hint of the city god's power spread out. Thump. The old man who cut wood also knelt down. He was filled with grief and anger. I am inferior. What's the use of knowing that this ghost-faced tiger is fake? He still has to kneel in front of absolute strength. At the same time, after hearing the voice, Shen Jian gradually focused his attention on the ghost-faced tiger. That moment, ghost-faced tiger's heart skipped a beat. Being stared at by Shen Jian was as if he was being stared at by some terrifying entity, which made him shiver. What kind of eyes are those? Dark but dazzling, deep and sacred, great but impossible to look directly at. Almost all the words used to praise can be used in those eyes. That is simply the eye of God. They were even scarier than the eyes of the city god he saw on the stone statue of the city god. If he stared at them for a long time, he would even feel as if he would fall into an endless hell. Then, Shen Jian moved. His steps seemed unhurried. In the dead silence of the city god's temple, the footsteps seemed heavy and clear. It's like stepping on everyone's heart. The players who lowered their heads looked horrified. This was obviously Shen Jian's footsteps. But what does he want to do? To face a city god directly? Think of this. All the players were stunned. Damn it! This is too lawless. Is it possible that you still want to be addicted to God? Go crazy. The city god is not a fierce ghost, but a ghost from the underworld. In the real world, the underworld has arrived. All city gods are members of the underworld. If the city god was touched here now, they would never dare to imagine the consequences that would follow. A few days ago, the news that the underworld had conquered a province and wanted to kill all the evil ghosts in Zipping province spread a lot on the supernatural forums. The cause was just a group of vampires attacking a city god's temple. At the moment, this was in front of a city god. If the other party is moved, will there be another conquest from the underworld? Not to mention, that is an underworld god. No matter how powerful the player is, how can he be his opponent? Too reckless. All the players were terrified. And this time, the city god in the eyes of these players also became suspicious. Something is wrong. There's something wrong with this guy. But he has already let out his cruel words. If he gives in or backs down now, it will be exposed that he is from the northwest. This is absolutely not okay. Then, he rebuked again, you are bold and disrespectful to the city god. You have to pay the price for it. Said. He stretched out a hand. He wanted to rely on the power of the city god's stone statue to suppress Shen Jian. Remember, the king must not be humiliated. The ghost-faced tiger made a confident voice. Then, the next second, a big dick was thrown in his face. Ghost-faced tiger? He was slightly startled. He looked up at Shen Jian in disbelief. This man hurt the city god in his golden body state. That slap hit his face, causing burning pain. He was a little dumbfounded. Don't understand what's going on. Under Cheng Huangjin, even a top ghost king level ghost should not be able to hurt him. As long as he didn't leave the city god's temple, it would be useless for anyone to come. But now, he was slapped in the face. It hurts. You are looking for death. If you dare to attack me, the city god, I will eat you alive, eat all your flesh, and drink all your blood. The ghost-faced tiger roared furiously. The monstrous yin qi that is infinitely close to the top ghost king swept over, mixed with some divine power of the golden body of the city god, and it already has a terrifying strength that is no less than the top ghost king. He glared. As the level of terror increases, confidence gradually returns. You blasphemous person, even if I carry the city god's temple on my back and have to drag the city god's stone statue with one hand, I, Lord Tiger, will still be invincible in the world. A roar. The ghost-faced tiger grabbed it with his big hands. Supernatural fluctuations spread across his body. If this claw touches down, this blasphemer will die. Bang bang. Two more crisp loudmouth sounds rang out. The ghost-faced tiger was confused. These two big-ass Kabuto even slapped away most of his supernatural powers. Damn it! Where did you come from, so evil? Think of this. The ghost-faced tiger had the idea of retracting the stone statue of the city god. As long as he hides in the stone statue of the city god, no one can attack him. 3 seconds ago. That's what he thought. 3 seconds later. Ghost-faced tiger watched with his own eyes as Shen Jian took out a complete seal of the city god and brought his city god's temple under his jurisdiction. And he was kicked out of the position of city god. I tried to enter the Cheng Huang stone statue again, but was not accepted. A feeling of I am already his. Ghost-faced tiger. Grass. You like the new and hate the old, right? A new generation replaces the old. City god stone statue, I didn't expect you to be such a superficial person. He became distraught and angry. Until Shen Jian approached. The ghost-faced tiger became even more angry, turned around, and then showed a forced smile. Brother, a flood has washed away the Dragon King temple. If I had known earlier that you were also traveling with us, I would have gone out to welcome you. As he spoke, he secretly looked at Shen Jian. Unexpectedly, Li Kui met Li Gui. He, a fake city god, met a real one. Where is the logic in this? See it? Shen Jian frowned. Change back. Okay brother. Ghost-faced tiger didn't dare to refute at all. The golden light dispersed, revealing his true face. A colorful tiger with a demonic face. At this time, the other party was showing a hint of a dog-licking smile. Hey, little golden retriever, come here. Shen Jian waved. Ghost-faced tiger. Damn it! I am the noble tiger lord, an abyss-level ghost that is infinitely close to the top ghost king. I will suck your uncles. Do you really think of me as a pet? Meow meow. The ghost-faced tiger waggled its tail and moved closer, with a flattering smile on its face. It's okay if you don't laugh with me. This man is truly a city god. He knew the terror of the city god best. Now it's all a matter of whether the ghost's life can be saved. It's just a joke, Mr. Tiger will not feel wronged. The other side. Listening to Shen Jian's voice, which sounded like teasing a pet, the players who lowered their heads were also a little confused. Where did the pets come from in the city god's temple? Then they raised their heads cautiously. I just happened to see a tiger with a ghostly face wagging its tail and making kitten-like sounds to please its owner. Is this special girl the city god of Zipping Village? This moment, everyone's mouth suddenly opened wide, and their eyes almost popped out. Damn it! What kind of divine expansion is this? The ghost-faced tiger looked like the city god of this place that the old man who cut wood had described. However, at this moment, this city god who was aloof in their eyes was licking his face and making a chilling meow. Treat it like a pet and play with it between the palms of your hands. All the players were immediately frightened. They couldn't imagine that the underworld city god, who was extremely glorious in the real world, was treated as a pet in the horror game copy. This is really kidding the dog. Mr. Hu, you should be brave. Don't damage the image of the city god. Unfortunately, no matter how much the player's worldview collapses, the ghost-faced tiger still looks like this. In Shen Jian's hands, he showed the obedience of a feline, no, a licking dog. Moment. See other people staring. Shen Jian also stopped what he was doing, looking at the straight eyes of all the players. Think about it, he said casually. How about you guys have fun for a while? Players. They shuddered when they looked at the ghost-faced tiger who was docile in Shen Jian's hands and smiled sinisterly at them when Shen Jian wasn't paying attention. Died young. Who the hell dares to touch this? Besides, Mr. Tiger, where is your moral integrity? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 437. At this moment, whether it was the old man chopping firewood or all the players, they were all stunned at the scene in front of them. Although Shen Jian's past achievements were terrifying, he suppressed the Ghost King and regarded the Ghost King as nothing, and even single-handedly wiped out the entire Zipping village's red-clad ghosts. But compared with the shocking scene of the city god's stone statue appearing, all this seems insignificant. But now, the city god in their eyes crawled at Shen Jian's feet and was treated like a pet. Such a strong contrast made them feel dazed. I couldn't come back to my senses for a long time. However, Shen Jian ignored this. He was holding a half-broken piece of city god seal and looking at it. It's the piece in ghost-faced tiger's hand. This city god seal had gone through an unknown number of years. Its surface was no longer complete, and it was split into two halves in the middle. The ghost-faced tiger took a look at one of them. Shen Jian looked around. On the seal, a vague word Zhang comes into view. This surname is obviously Chen Wang's real surname. Where is the other half of the city god seal? Shen Jian asked. The ghost-faced tiger smiled and said, Sir, I have been looking for it, but based on my research over the years, I infer that the other half should be in the human world. Hear this. Shen Jian's eyes flickered. In the Yangtze? This was beyond his expectation. It seems that after finishing this copy, he will have to explore Yangtze. Find the other half of the city god's seal. Think of this. Shen Jian asked again about his purpose in coming to Zipping village. Why are you spreading rumors? Sir, this is a deal between me and others. Trade. Yes, someone promised me that as long as I spread the news as a city god, when the matter is over, he would help me find a way to enter the human world, so I agreed. Ghost-faced tiger said honestly. Who is it? I do not know. The ghost-faced tiger still answered honestly. Shen Jian. Sir, I really don't know. The other person is wearing a human skin. As soon as my eyes fell on it, I would feel creepy. So I didn't see his appearance clearly. But he is a top ghost king. I know this. I'm sure, otherwise I wouldn't agree to his deal. Shen Jian pondered. This is a directional clue. According to his understanding, there are only 4 top ghost kings in the entire Eternal Night Kingdom. In other words, the mastermind behind this is among these 4 people. Think of this. Shen Jian smiled. I suppressed the useless thought of continuing to speculate. No matter what kind of murderer he is looking for, his purpose is to pack up the Eternal Night Kingdom and take him back to the underworld. He will not miss these 4 top ghost kings at all. Caught them all. What does it matter who is the murderer? This time, Shen Jian's pattern suddenly opened up. Don't worry about this anymore. Then, he turned and left. The scarlet panel appeared immediately. Side mission, solve the disaster in the city god's temple, completed. This task is a long-term task and the rewards have been unlocked. Reward, fame add 100%, Favorability of the Queen Mother of Yonjai Kingdom add 20. It has been detected that this side task is the branch task of the Rebellion of the Eternal Night Kingdom, and the Rebellion of the Eternal Night Kingdom has been unlocked. Side mission, Rebellion in the Kingdom of Evernight, not started. Note, please explore on your own. Glanced. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. This side mission actually has a reward. And it is the improvement in favorability that he needs most at the moment. If he remembered correctly, the Empress Dowager Zhuang's favorability towards him was 30 points, and with 20 points added to it, it reached 50 points. It has entered the familiarization stage. Going one step further, that is the ambiguous stage at 60 points. At that time, maybe there will be a chance to achieve the goal of making it impossible for the Queen Mother to climb down from the phoenix bed and to monitor the country. As for the chaos in Yonjai Kingdom, Shen Jian was a little thoughtful. This side mission looks a bit like all the turmoil that the Eternal Night Kingdom has experienced, and it is a turmoil that is enough to threaten the royal family's dominance. Just like the disaster at the city god's temple. He didn't know how the former Eternal Night Kingdom solved the rumors, but it would never be easy to think about it. After all, if the ghost-faced tiger is determined to hide in the stone statue of the city god, not even the top ghost king can touch him. At this time, the Queen of Evernight was nothing more than an abyss-level ghost. Even with the blessing of the title Lord of Dungeons, she was at best equivalent to a top ghost king. There is no way to break the stone statue of the city god. However, the ghost-faced tiger can spread rumors everywhere in the city god's temple. Over time, it will inevitably affect the rule of the royal family. There is no doubt about it. But now, the trajectory of history has changed. He stopped this disaster in advance before the incident escalated. As soon as this idea came up, the Scarlet Panel also showed a progress simultaneously. Hidden mission, reversing the fate of Yonjai Kingdom. Current progress, 9%. Return to the palace. The news spread like wildfire. In Sinning Palace, where the Queen Mother is located, there are eunuchs who have resolved the ferment in the Chenghuang Temple. And brought the false city god back to the palace. He has made great contributions. As soon as this news came out, the whole palace was in an uproar. Everyone was in disbelief. Eunuch. Can a few young eunuchs solve the city god's temple incident? To know. Before the rumors about the Chenghuang Temple were fermented, the imperial court received a tip-off and sent officials to investigate. In the end, there was no news. After, they even dispatched abyss-level combat forces to investigate. In the end there was no news. And now, a group of young eunuchs who were sent to die ended up destroying the city god's temple. He even brought back the fake city god. This is too dreamy. You have this damn ability, why are you going to be a eunuch? There is no woman in your heart, so you draw your sword to the god of nature? The other side. The player base was also sensational. They all asked about specific matters. Even the two top 10 ghost masters in the supernatural circle came over in a hurry. The short-haired man with the ID Yefeng widened his eyes and said, "You, solved the side mission of the city god's temple." The long-haired young man with the ID of actress also restrained his cynical smile, and his eyes fell on the 5 returning players. He couldn't believe it. He was the first to know about the side mission of City God's Temple. It was also the others he told the news to. But as others have thought, this side mission is too difficult. Although you can quickly approach the Queen of Evernight after completing it, you still have to come back alive. At least he wasn't sure. This is one of the reasons why he shared the news. However, he never expected that a player would actually complete this task. He looked at the 5 players in front of him. One is level 8, 2 are level 13, 1 is level 21, and 1 is level 25. 1-star players, 2-star players, 3-star players. Can such a lineup complete the side mission of City God's Temple? In his opinion, this side mission could only be completed unless he, Yefeng, and the 3 top Ghost Masters of Yama, together with a dozen 3-star Ghost Masters to open the way. It's not surprising that he was wiped out by the group. In the face of everyone's enthusiasm, the player with the ID Xiao He told the truth. It's the great Lord Yama. We are just filling in the tasks he completed. As soon as these words came out, all the players were shocked. This was even more shocking than when they heard that someone had completed the side mission of the City God's Temple. Speeding through the Chenghuang Temple branch line by oneself? I'm crazy. What a fairy this is. What about the so-called City God? I heard that all the fake City Gods were captured and taken back to the Queen Mother's Sinning Palace. A player asked this question. The City God is real. Being captured back is also real. Moreover, this City God is kept as a pet. Sinning Palace. Listening to Shen Jian's deeds, the Queen Mother Zhuang looked at Shen Jian with strange eyes for the first time. She actually made a mistake. This little man actually has such ability. The problem of the City God's Temple, which was a headache for the imperial court, was solved by dividing it by 3 and 5. And he also brought the City God back. This time, the rumors were self-defeating. After all, how could the City God be caught? Even if someone can catch him, is he still a City God? That's not just a liar. There was no need for the royal family to refute the rumors anymore, and the conspiracy against the royal family collapsed. I'm looking down on you this time. I said that if you can solve this problem and come back alive, I will give you a reward. Tell me, what do you want? Queen Mother Zhuang stepped forward. Came to Shen Jian. The Queen Mother makes the decision. Shen Jian said casually. He glanced at the favorability panel. Empress Dowager Zhuangsu of Yanjai Kingdom. Favorability, 55, familiar. I have no ambition, but how can the people around me not have official positions? What's more, you also solved a turmoil for the court. See Shen Jian's appearance. The corners of Queen Mother Zhuang's mouth raised. It exudes a charming light mature smell. From today on, you will be responsible for commanding the Jingxi room as the general manager. Yes. Hear this. Shen Jian was stunned. The position of chief eunuch is not a small one. In the entire Yanjai kingdom, he is not considered a small official. What's more, he is still someone close to the Queen Mother, and his power is much greater than that of looking for the father-in-law. Shen Jian was thoughtful. It seemed that the reason for her goodwill made the Queen Mother Zhuang prepare to train him as one of her own. Return to your residence. Shen Jian learned about the 3 forces of Yanjai Kingdom based on the player's messages. One of them is headed by civil servants, and the Prime Minister headed by him is a top Ghost King. The other group is headed by the General, who is also the top Ghost King. There is also the last one, a prince with a different surname outside the Great Wall. He is also the top Ghost King. 3 top Ghost Kings, 3 forces. Plus an ancestor of the royal family. These are the 4 top Ghost Kings owned by Yanjai Kingdom. Thinking. A burst of smoke with subtle supernatural fluctuations filled the air. Shen Jian was stunned. There was a bit of weirdness on his face. This appears to be a neurotoxin. It can stimulate the body's potential desires and burn it to death. Someone wants to kill him. He had just solved the disaster at the City God's Temple, and someone in the palace wanted to kill him. Shen Jian smiled. Really? He still has to make trouble. If he doesn't make trouble, others won't notice him. Shen Jian stood up. Getting ready for action. There were already bursts of noise from the outside world. It's like chasing something. At the same time, Empress Dowager Zhuang's voice also sounded majestic. Go and capture this person for me. I will spread the news in vain. I finally have a clue today. Hear this. Shen Jian understood something immediately. The news in the palace was not leaked, but was deliberately spread by the Empress Dowager Zhuang. Think about it. Shen Jian suddenly felt that this murderer seemed pretty good. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 438. The movement outside the room faded away. The crisp footsteps of Queen Mother Zhuang are getting closer and closer. She was in a very good mood. As the Empress Dowager who oversees the country, she naturally knew that there was someone behind the Chenghuang Temple incident, so she publicized it vigorously. Let everyone inside and outside the palace know that Shen Jian has captured the fake city god. As long as the mastermind behind the scenes doesn't want to be exposed, he will definitely come to silence him. This gave her the opportunity to wait and see. Was walking. The Queen Mother Zhuang was a little confused as to why Shen Jian didn't come out. Logically speaking, with such a big movement, even a pig would have to wake up, unless something unexpected happened. Think of this. Queen Mother Zhuang's expression changed. Could it be that the murderer has already succeeded? It shouldn't be. With Shen Jian's strength, it was difficult for ordinary methods to work. Even curses, poisons, and even all kinds of mortal supernatural beings cannot kill him in a short time. But Shen Jian didn't come out, which is also true. Crunch. Queen Mother Zhuang opened the door. A faint supernatural wave swept over. She frowned slightly. Sure enough, it's something like supernatural toxins. No time to think too much. Queen Mother Zhuang walked in. I happened to see Shen Jian sitting on the edge of the bed with a very uncomfortable expression. Queen Mother, I'm poisoned. Shen Jian breathed rapidly. He possesses the divine ability of King Yama. Whether it is the ghost energy of the gods or the pressure of ghosts and gods, it has an almost destructive impact on the supernatural. Just let him lie down and he will become stronger. One that allows the Li Gui's attack strength to be reduced without limit. Because of this, the so-called supernatural poison has no effect at all in front of him. Even if he doesn't resist, the priesthood of the 5 kings of hell will make him invulnerable to all poisons. It's really hard to get caught. But now, he has indeed been tricked. In order for this supernatural power to take effect, he must restrain the blood of ghosts and gods, the heart of ghosts and gods, and the coercion ability of ghosts and gods in his body. This kind of confrontation is really hard. If you don't pay attention for a moment, the supernatural effect will disappear. It doesn't matter, The words have not yet finished. Well. Queen Mother Zhuang's face changed slightly. An uncomfortable murmur came from his mouth. She just felt a fire burning inside her. It ignited her desire for years. This moment. Empress Dowager Zhuang looked ugly. She understood what the poison was. The next second. Shen Jian seemed to have lost control and reached out to pick her up. Queen Mother Zhuang? She froze. By the time she reacted, Shen Jian had already thrown her onto the phoenix couch. The next day. Sinning Palace. Deep in the inner hall, in the magnificent bedroom. On the phoenix couch surrounded by golden silk curtains, Queen Mother Zhuang opened her eyes, pulled back the quilt and took a look. Her eyes were complicated. The embarrassing and unbearable memories of last night also echoed in her mind over and over again. She was a majestic queen mother, and she actually let a eunuch climb onto the phoenix couch. Contrary to the dragon and the phoenix. Wrong. Think of this. Queen Mother Zhuang was angry for a while. That little thief is not a eunuch at all. But he was a fake eunuch living in the harem. Last night, she had been eaten dry. Although the poison was administered by the murderer, at this moment, she wanted to kill Shen Jian. Kill this shameless little thief who dares to climb onto her phoenix bed. Although even if she kept her reputation, it would not affect her current power to supervise the country, but she was still very angry at being taken advantage of for no reason. At this time, Shen Jian also moved. He opened his eyes. When he saw Queen Mother Zhuang huddled in the quilt and covering her head, his eyes were strange and he couldn't help but feel a little funny. He has long since woken up. The reason why he didn't move before was just to see the reaction of Queen Mother Zhuang. Empress Dowager Zhuangsu of Yanji Kingdom. Current status: angry, annoyed, gritted teeth, ashamed. Favorability: 65, ambiguous. After one night of hard work, my favorability level increased by 10 points. The ambiguous stage of the couple's relationship has been reached. He needs to decide the next strategy based on the reaction of the Queen Mother Zhuang. Fortunately, is the best result. He had a full stack of buffs last night. Only by making great contributions and being poisoned can you find opportunities to make rice from raw rice. Otherwise, at another time, he would definitely be cut off immediately. Queen Mother. No response. It seems that I can still. Shen Jian murmured to himself. Carefully lift the quilt. Next moment, a jade hand stretched out and grabbed his wrist. Empress Dowager Zhuang rolled up the quilt to cover her fair skin. She looked at Shen Jian with a murderous expression and said resentfully, "Shameless thief, should you explain to me that you are not a eunuch? Do you know that as long as I give an order, you will be finished? You are so brave, you dare to climb onto the phoenix bed and destroy my innocence. Now I can't wait to kill you 9 tribes." Shen Jian remained calm. "Queen Mother, I came here just to investigate the disappearance of the royal family, but I didn't expect that I was framed. That despicable and shameless guy actually drugged me. He deserves to die." Hear this. Queen Mother Zhuang also gritted her teeth. Really? If it hadn't been for the murderer who broke into Sinning Palace in the middle of the night, Shen Jian would not have been tricked, she would not have been tricked, and she would not have had a wrong relationship with Shen Jian. All of this is thanks to that murderer. Think about it this way. The look she looked at Shen Jian softened a bit. Although it was still cold, at least he no longer had the murderous intention. After all, both of them are victims. It's time to get up. Speaking of this, Queen Mother Zhuang tilted her head, her ears turning a little red. Also, I have not forgiven you for what happened today. Although you were framed, you pretended to be a eunuch and were so bold that you climbed into the phoenix bed privately. This is still a serious crime. Turning her back to Shen Jian, Queen Mother Zhuang said sternly. Although the poisoning was an act of necessity, Shen Jian's crimes were obviously more than that. Pretending to be a eunuch and sneaking into the harem was a capital crime. Climbing onto the phoenix couch privately is also a serious crime against the 9 clan. What's more, Shen Jian also infected her, the Queen Mother. Each of these items alone is a serious crime of beheading. Even if Shen Jian solved the disaster in the city god's temple, it would not be enough to offset his crime. But now, she hasn't thought about it yet. On the one hand, Shen Jian still has great uses. As the Empress Dowager of the Supervisor, she knew a lot about the city god's temple and knew that this was a problem that even the abyss-level ghosts could not solve. Shen Jian not only solved it perfectly, but also brought back the so-called city god. There is no doubt that this man has the strength of a top ghost king. He is her most capable general. On the other hand, she did not dislike having sex with such a handsome, powerful man who obeyed her orders. On the contrary, she still had the urge to do it again. Certainly. These embarrassing thoughts will only exist in the deepest part of her heart. Right now she was in a state of confusion. I still don't know how to deal with Shen Jian. We can only drive Shen Jian away first. However, at this time, A maid hurriedly said, Your Majesty is here. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 439. On the Phoenix Couch. Hearing the voice of the maid outside the door, Queen Mother Zhuang panicked. She turned around and glanced at Shen Jian, who was dawdling, and was furious. Didn't I tell you to leave? You shameless little thief, you are really stuck here in this palace. Shen Jian was a little innocent. Leave? What a joke. With just this 65 points of favorability, once he left, it gave the Queen Mother Zhuang the opportunity to think about life and weigh the pros and cons. That was not equivalent to giving up the advantage to the other party. How could he do such a thing that is not good for him? If he doesn't raise his favorability to 70 or even 80 points today, he will never get off this phoenix bed. Then Shen Jian frowned. Your Majesty, maybe it's because of the severe poison in my body and the fact that I worked hard day and night last night. My body is still a little weak. See this. Empress Dowager Zhuang spat. There is nothing you can do against this scoundrel. At the moment, it can only remain as it is. Thinking. Da-da-da. The sound of slight footsteps came. See this. Empress Dowager Zhuang could only bury Shen Jian. Things here cannot be spread. Otherwise, the scandal of letting a young eunuch climb onto the phoenix bed will spread instantly. Although her power cannot be shaken, criticism is inevitable. And she never liked this kind of criticism. Don't make a sound, otherwise I will never be done with you. Empress Dowager Zhuang warned sternly. The words fell. A slender figure walked in. Wearing a dragon robe, he has a slender figure. As he walks in, he reveals a very delicate face. Looks very delicate. To an ordinary person, this would be a noble and handsome young man. But the black gold dragon robe on his body and the majestic look on his face told everyone that he was the current leader of the Eternal Night Kingdom and the king of a country. Shen Jian blinked. Even in a completely dark environment, it could not block his vision. He looked around. A man in dragon robe, who although handsome in appearance, had already begun to show the majesty of the emperor, walked towards him. No matter how you look at it, he is a young emperor. But Shen Jian knew. Hidden under the face of this young emperor is a stunning female body that could attract the attention of 6 countries. Recorded according to official historical time. In the 25th year of Yanjai, the young emperor will return to his female body and take charge of Yanjai kingdom completely. And now, it is the 18th year of Yanjai. The young emperor was still a man, and his power as emperor was eclipsed by the Queen Mother, making him a puppet emperor. At this point in time, it is the stage of the battle of wits and courage between Queen Yanjai and the Empress Dowager of the Prison Kingdom. Thinking. Queen Yanjai was already standing 3 meters away from the phoenix couch. Mother, mother. This cheer made Queen Mother Zhuang become nervous. Then he put on a tired look and said lazily, You came over to the AI family without informing me in advance. What's the matter? Below. There is something weird about the Queen of Evernight. She raised her head and glanced at the blurry outline of Queen Mother Zhuang inside the golden gauze tent, and said in a hesitant tone, Mother, the time for the morning court has passed. Seeing that you have not arrived, all the ministers asked you what happened, and my ministers were also a little worried. In desperation, I came here. Hear this. Empress Dowager Zhuang paused and said as if nothing had happened. Last night, a thief broke into Sinning Palace with the intention of killing the hero of the city god's temple incident. The palace set up clues and caught him on the spot. After being interrogated all night, he couldn't calm down, which delayed the morning court. Hear this. The Queen of Evernight was even more puzzled. Then shouldn't it be more appropriate to go to morning court? After all, the man responsible for the murder of the city god's temple incident was simply worried that he was the mastermind behind it. As for the current Eternal Night Kingdom, there are no more than 3 people with this motive. In her opinion, it was more appropriate to go to court at this time, find out the culprit, and kill the other 9 tribes. But she didn't argue. He just said, "The Queen Mother, please prepare. The ministers are still waiting for the Queen Mother to go to court." Queen Mother Zhuang. Going to court? How can she go to court in this state? At this time, the Empress Dowager Zhuang had only one thought in her heart: get rid of Queen Yanjai as soon as possible. I was unwell at night and delayed the morning court. It would not be appropriate to go there again at this time. You have been on the throne for 10 years and have been watching for 10 years. You must have kept the affairs of the court in mind. You will perform this morning court for 1 day. As soon as these words came out, Queen Evernight's eyes were filled with astonishment. Let her do it for you. The Queen Mother has been in charge of the country for 10 years and has never been punished once. Nowadays, all the large and small court halls are filled with the Queen Mother's people. She is basically just a decoration. To this end, a few days ago, she questioned her mother's order for the first time. It caused a sensation in the court. Rumors were spreading openly and secretly that she, the little emperor, was planning to seize the throne. At this time, shouldn't the Queen Mother go to court in person to consolidate her rule? Why let her do it? Does this mean that she actually misunderstood her mother? The Queen Mother has never returned the power of supervising the country to her, because she just thinks that she is not able to take charge of it on her own. But now, the Queen Mother thinks that the time is ripe. Still, testing her? Test her to see if she wants to take back her power? Suspicion flashed across Queen Evernight's face. She looked up. It always feels a bit inconsistent. Take a look now. Even more inconsistent. The figure behind the golden gauze curtain looks a bit huge. It seemed like something was placed on top. Queen Mother Zhuang also noticed Queen Yanjai's vague gaze. I was shocked. He quickly turned sideways without leaving any trace. Turning his back to Queen Yongye, he wrapped Shen Jian tightly. I'm exhausted, please step aside. Empress Dowager Zhuang began to chase away the guests. Little did I know. Her words of expelling guests were a huge surprise to Queen Yongye's ears. I thought this was a test. Unexpectedly, the Queen Mother really delegated power to her. Then, she withdrew with emotion. In the bedroom. Until the Queen of Evernight leaves? Empress Dowager Zhuang finally let go of her hanging heart. Without saying a word, he immediately opened the quilt and pushed Shen Jian away. Although his face was red, his eyes were filled with evil, and he shouted angrily, "You shameless little thief, how dare you make a fool of yourself in front of my majesty, and I almost made a fool of myself. If you are discovered, I'm afraid you won't be able to kill me even if you have 10,000 lives of." Shen Jian's eyes were strange and he said, "Thanks to the Queen Mother for allowing me to save my life." "Shut up, why didn't I choke you to death just now?" Empress Dowager Zhuang said angrily. As soon as the words came out of her mouth, she was stunned again. How could you say such a thing? He must have been influenced by this shameless little thief. Okay, go down quickly. I have given you too much grace just now, but what happened today cannot be spread outside the palace. Just saying. Queen Mother Zhuang was also ready to get up. During the conversation just now, she had recovered a bit, and there must be no problem with her movements. However, next moment, one of her jade hands was held by Shen Jian. Queen Mother Zhuang was stunned. Turn around and look. He saw Shen Jian's malicious smiling face. At noon, Shen Jian glanced at the scarlet panel. Hidden mission, reversing the fate of Yanjai Kingdom. Current progress, 16%. Just by not having the Queen Mother attend court once, the progress of the task soared by 7%, almost catching up with the changes in the historical trajectory brought about by solving the disaster at the city god's temple. One can imagine. What is the impact of this matter? If the Queen of Evernight could be allowed to take control of the Evernight Kingdom a few years in advance, there might be hope of reversing the national calamity. His hard work affects the fate of Yonjai Kingdom. At this time, the voice of a maid came from outside the inner hall. "Mother, there is a secret message about last night's assassination. Bring it in." When she heard what was going on, Queen Mother Zhuang's face suddenly became serious. Because she was poisoned by the love potion, she was not fully involved in what happened last night, but she had given orders to pry clues out of the assassin's mouth. A maid walked in. Looking at Shen Jian in the bedroom, her expression did not change. After all, she was the gatekeeper, so she naturally understood what happened in the Queen Mother's palace. A long time. Queen Mother Zhuang handed the secret letter in her hand to Shen Jian. "You are an experiencer of the city god's temple incident. What do you think?" Shen Jian glanced at it a few times. His eyes flashed. The content on the secret message is very brief. To sum it up, the mastermind behind the assassin came from the general's mansion. The general of Yonjai Kingdom is one of the 4 top ghost kings. He is the leader of the military commander faction. He is also the right prime minister of Yonjai Kingdom. He and Zhou Chang, the leader of civil servants, restricted each other. It can't be fake. Finished reading. Shen Jian said. From the ghost-faced tiger's mouth, he had long known that the man behind the scenes was a top ghost king. And now the clue points to the general's mansion. The situation has become very obvious. It was the right prime minister, the general, who spread the rumors about the city god's temple. Hear this. Queen Mother Zhuang was speechless for a long time. This is a troublesome matter. If we don't deal with it, it will appear that the royal family is afraid of a right prime minister, which will make the other party more unscrupulous. But if you want to deal with the general's palace, it involves many problems. The most important thing is that if you can't react before everyone capture it before coming here, and the resistance you will encounter will become greater and greater. What's more, the assassin's one-sided words cannot convict a general. I can do that. At this time, Shen Jian grinned. You? Yes, Queen Mother, don't you want to capture the general quickly? I can do it. The smile on Shen Jian's face became even brighter. He originally planned to find an opportunity to capture these 4 top ghost kings. Now that he has an honest reason, he will naturally not miss it. How sure are you? Queen Mother Zhuang looked Shen Jian up and down. Finally chose to believe. After all, the incident at the city god's temple has proven that Shen Jian has at least the strength of a top ghost king. Apart from Shen Jian, she couldn't find anyone else like him. How sure are you? As long as the place you gave is correct, I can capture him and bring him back to see you tonight. Shen Jian said casually. His current yin qi level is also at the level of a top ghost king. Even if he doesn't use the divine ability of the King of Hell, he can easily crush the top ghost king. Naturally, he doesn't need to be modest. If you don't show your strengths, how can you penetrate into the heart of the Queen Mother Zhuang? Then I'll leave this matter to you. Shen Jian smiled. Turn around and leave. Looking at Shen Jian's leaving figure, Queen Mother Zhuang's beautiful eyes turned blue. This shameless little thief is surprisingly reliable. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the King of Hell of the 10th Palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 440. Out of Sinning Palace. Shen Jian took the Queen Mother's badge and left the palace. By the way, I brought the ghost-faced tiger with me. To prevent yourself from finding the wrong person. On the road. He glanced at the chat interface. Yefeng, damn it, what's going on today? I heard that the Queen of Evernight is in power, and there is no Queen Mother listening behind the curtain. Actress, it is indeed a big deal. Even us little eunuchs have received the news now. There is gradually a sign in the court that the Queen Mother is ready to delegate power and let Queen Yanjai regain control of the government. Other players, this development is not quite right, isn't it? Only the 18th year of Yanjai, according to the intelligence, the current Queen of Evernight has just begun to resist the Queen Mother, and has not yet used a knife or a gun. Why did the Queen Mother have a crotch? All players looked confused. They are carefully collecting intelligence and preparing to assist Queen Evernight to eliminate the Queen Mother's gang. But now, the Queen Mother has really delegated power. What the hell is this? If it were really that simple, then history would not record that the Queen of Evernight resisted for 5 years before finally regaining power. There must be something they don't know about it. Xiao He, could it be related to the great god? He was referring to Shen Jian, who entered Sinning Palace undercover. Ye Feng, impossible, absolutely impossible. Even if he made a contribution in the city god's temple incident, at most he would be rewarded by the Queen Mother and promoted to several officials. How could he affect the state affairs of Yanjai Kingdom? Ye Feng, besides, if you want the Queen Mother not to go to the morning court, you will have to get injured, and the injury is so serious that you can't get out of bed. But if you do this, there will definitely be noise, and this morning's court meeting will not be so quiet. Listening to the analysis of the top 10 ghost masters in the supernatural circle, the players present also felt that it made sense. Shen Jian is indeed worthy of being the most famous player on the supernatural forum. Even the disaster at the city god's temple can be solved. But as Master Ye Feng said, the only way to prevent the Queen Mother from going to court is to severely injure the other party. But there is no benefit in doing this except dying quickly. But apart from severely injuring the Queen Mother, what else could prevent the Queen Mother, who held the power of supervising the country, from attending the morning court? They were puzzled. I just thought it was the butterfly effect caused by the disaster at the city god's temple in advance, and I didn't pay much attention to it. After all, the Queen of Evernight is back in power, which is good news for all players. The other side. Shen Jian left the palace. He walked in the direction of the general's mansion. According to what he learned from the Queen Mother, the general of Yanjai Kingdom was one of the strongest combat forces in the kingdom, second only to the prince of a different surname who guarded the border. The general's mansion where he was located was also a residence given by the late emperor of Yanjai Kingdom, and its luxury was comparable to that of an imperial palace. It was precisely because of this gift that the general's ambitions grew. He not only looked down on the young emperor in the court, but also expressed dissatisfaction with the Queen Mother's listening to politics behind the curtain. The generals were incited to resist. And the Queen Mother also told him one thing. The general had approached Queen Yanjai privately and said that he could help Queen Yanjai get rid of the Queen Mother and secure her throne. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. Isn't this just because Queen Yanjai is young and wants to learn how to control the emperor and control the princes? It's a pity that the general doesn't know that Queen Yanjai also has a secret that cannot be told, and that is her female body. Once this secret is exposed, let alone sitting on the throne, even the orthodox royal status of Yanjai Kingdom will be shaken, and it will lead to huge turmoil. Therefore, Queen Yanjai rejected the other party and told the Queen Mother about it. Although there are conflicts between mother and daughter, they are on the same side when it comes to royal orthodoxy. The general has obviously had the idea of subverting the status of the royal family. Keep it. It's just that the situation at that time cannot be dealt with. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian has arrived at the general's mansion. Push open the door. A gust of dark wind blew in my face. The ghost-faced tiger stepped in first. Brother, there seems to be no one in this mansion. The yin energy is quite strong, but you can't notice much after entering the mansion. Hear this. Shen Jian frowned slightly. Because he also sensed it. The yin qi in the entire general's mansion was incredibly thin. It doesn't look like anyone lives here at all. Just ask and you will know. Just calm down your breath and don't scare people away. Shen Jian cursed. Focus on one place. That is the place with the strongest gloom in this mansion. It is roughly equivalent to a ghost king that is infinitely close to the abyss level. Soon, Shen Jian came to a corridor. Waves of resentful voices continued to sweep through. I'm so miserable. Leave me here alone, it's so dark here, so dark. You all deserve to die, deserve to die. A series of shrill screams suddenly sounded from a certain room. It makes your skull feel numb. The sharp sound is like tarsal poison, piercing into the soul and bringing endless resentment. Anyone who hears it will be reminded of their saddest memories. Just like the ghost-faced tiger, because it gave up resistance. Supernatural power took effect on him. For a moment, Ghost-faced tiger felt like his mind was in a trance. He suddenly remembered that he was properly serving as his own city god in the city god's temple, and had hundreds of subordinates who became their own local emperors in Zipping village. But all this changed after Shen Jian came over. This man took away his power as the city god, and treated him like a pet dog, and even gave him an extremely insulting name, Little Golden Retriever. At last, he was even brought back to the palace and tied to a tree. He was an abyss-level ghost who was infinitely close to the top ghost king. He was once a city god, but now he was treated like this. For a while, resentment welled up in his heart. As a result, the ghost-faced tiger became so sad and angry that he almost blurted out to vent his grievances. But when he looked at Shen Jian, his voice was stuck in his throat. His expression of grief and indignation froze even more. Grass. It was almost over. Was he crazy or stupid to vent his dissatisfaction on a city god? That man is a master who kills ghosts without blinking an eye. If he really dared to vent his dissatisfaction to Shen Jian, even if it was a supernatural influence, he was sure that Shen Jian would not listen to his excuse and would crush him to death. Think of this. Ghost-faced tiger's face couldn't help but turn pale. The tiger's body was even more shocked. The owner of this voice already had a huge amount of anger in his heart. Damn it! This damn woman almost affected the relationship between him and his eldest brother. She deserves to die. Just thinking about it. The voice filled with original resentment continued to echo. GG. Release the resentment in your heart. You have to go through the pain I have endured and the injustice I have suffered. The woman's voice was cruel. It sends chills down your spine. Under such supernatural spread, the person being attacked will see what they are most afraid of and despair about, and amplify this emotion 10 or 100 times. Give birth to a kind of pain. Shen Jian glanced at the ghost-faced tiger. He took out a black steel rod from his body. Grinning. This female ghost lady, it seems that you are full of resentment towards this world. In this case, I will help you reopen so that you can let go of your past experiences and choose a new life. Said. Boom. Shen Jian smashed open a room. Woman? Heard this movement. Her voice paused for a moment. God chooses a new life. You bitch wants to beat me to death, just say so. There is no need to be so elegant. I almost thought you were comforting me. Thinking. Shen Jian had already smashed open 5 rooms in a row. Only the last wing remains. Men, all deserve to die. The woman's cold voice sounded in the last wing. Click. Along with the door of the wing was torn apart. A ghost hand grabbed it out. Before the bloody light arrived, the sharp blade-like atmosphere had already scratched the wall. If caught by this ghost's claws, the reinforced concrete would be scratched like tissue paper. However, Shen Jian's face was expressionless. He also grabbed it with one hand. A sharp pull. Pei Ren exploded with great strength and directly dragged the woman out and threw her against the wall. Come on, Miss Ghost, You have a lot of resentments. I can help you clear these distracting thoughts in batches to ensure that your reopening will not be affected. Shen Jian laughed strangely. He raised the black steel rod and was about to hit it. Woman. She was confused. The general said that someone might come here to test him in the next few days. What she needs to do is to suppress the invaders with a strong stance. Demonstrate the prestige of the general's mansion. But what the hell is this for testing? Isn't this just here to exterminate the family? Looking at the black steel rod raised by Shen Jian, the woman was dumbfounded. This is not an attempt to clear away distracting thoughts. This man wanted to smash her brains out. Please be human. In panic. Women don't care. Escape hastily. According to the general's instructions, if you encounter someone who cannot be defeated, try to lure them into a trap and then persuade them carefully. This man's power is terrifying. The strength is definitely not that weak, which is exactly in line with the second order of the general. Lure intruders to a specific location. The general will personally do the persuasion. Hey, big brother, that little bitch escaped, I will catch her back. How dare a mere ghost king dare to show off in front of you, big brother? See it? Ghost-faced tiger looked excited and seized the opportunity. It's time to show off immediately. Shen Jian pouted. Recover the black steel rod. With a faint look in his eyes, he said, you can only catch big fish if you put a long line on it. If you can't find this member of the general's mansion, I will jump out of the coffin and slap myself in the face when I die. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 441. Catch up. Shen Jian was not surprised that the female ghost who had been staying at the general's mansion escaped. Or, it was precisely because of his retention that the other party had the opportunity to escape. Otherwise, with one hand grabbing the woman's wrist, he could kill her in his arms and let her enjoy this rare way of death. The reason for letting go is undoubtedly to play the long game and catch big fish. Compared to this ghost king, he wanted to know where the people in the general's mansion had gone. Especially the general, who is a powerful ghost at the level of a top ghost king. He only needs to capture the 4 top ghost kings of the Eternal Night Kingdom, and then ransack their homes. 1, or even 2 ghosts and gods will be enough. Giving up an entire forest for a tree is not his style. The words fell. Shen Jian followed. The ghost-faced tiger followed closely behind. Brother, there is no need to go to such trouble. If you want to get some information out of her, you can capture her and take her back to the palace prison to be tortured. Shen Jian turned his head and said with a surprised expression, how could you have such vicious thoughts? Ghost-faced tiger. Grass. What the hell do you have to say that others are evil? When I was in Zipping village, I could clearly see how you destroyed the village. At that time, why didn't you feel evil anymore? Certainly. Ghost-faced tiger only dared to keep these words in his heart. Subsequently, he suddenly remembered Shen Jian's identity again. The Orthodox city god. They are the ghosts of the city in Fuse. They protect the peace and prosperity of the city. It is normal for such an existence to catch and kill ghosts. Although they are a little heavy-handed, in essence, these city gods should still be kind. The fact that Shen Jian was able to stop his behavior and scold him for lynching the female ghost shows that Shen Jian still adheres to the virtues of the city god. If he is too violent, cruel, Shen Jian will one day feel that his viciousness is hard to get rid of and suppress him. Think of this. Ghost-faced tiger immediately felt a chill in his heart, and sincerely reflected, brother is right, I am too cruel, I must change, huh. Wait, brother, What are you doing? The words are not finished yet. He was stunned. While chasing people, white arcs of electricity appeared in Shen Jian's palm. Arc blasted out. The female ghost a few hundred meters away immediately screamed. There was a burst of black smoke coming from the body. Escape faster. Can't you see? I'm hunting in the wild. Shen Jian said casually. Ghost-faced tiger. Who the hell wants to ask you this? I mean, weren't you scolding me for being too vicious? What the hell are you doing? Shen Jian pondered for a moment. He said nonchalantly, it's troublesome to wait for Daxing. You have to wait for her to speak. But with my hunting method, the opponent will collapse soon and subconsciously run towards the safest place. The entire Yanjai kingdom, where else could it be safer than the general's hiding place? Ghost-faced tiger. He was a little stunned. I couldn't hold myself any longer. Damn it. I'm sorry, the reason why you scolded me is because you think my method is too slow to work? Damn it. I thought I was a living bodhisattva, but I didn't expect you to be a living cub. At this moment, Shen Jian ignored the petrified ghost-faced tiger. Instead, he kept at least 300 meters away from the escaping female ghost, and from time to time he would blast away a thunder spell with minimal power. There are no negative side effects other than pain. Little golden retriever, you see clearly. In addition to giving the enemy hope of escaping, hunting must also slow down appropriately so that the opponent has time to breathe. Otherwise, under high mental stress, the prey may collapse directly and fail to reach its destination. This is called sweetness. Shen Jian paused. He likes to be a teacher. Brother, are you city god learning these things now? Ghost-faced tiger said weakly. He looked like his outlook on life had collapsed. As the city god of Zipping Village, he has some understanding of the position of city god. But he never thought about it. As a local city god, he actually needs to learn this kind of thing. 3 years of simulation, 5 years of catching ghosts. On, how to force a ghost to death. 36 postures for chasing ghosts. This is so out of line. The image of the city god is completely different. That's not true. It's purely based on my personal experience. After the female ghost was 1,000 meters away, Shen Jian continued to speed up, instilling his own set of experiences and beautiful stories. Ghost-faced tiger. The corner of his mouth twitched. Personal practice? Speaking from experience. Isn't this more terrifying? Fortunately, he gave in immediately, otherwise this set of severe punishments called hunting might have been imposed on him. He shivered. Full sympathy for the escaped female ghost. Soon. The female ghost has escaped from the imperial city. Entering the deserted suburbs. She looked at the man and the tiger chasing after her, and while running away in pain, she showed a cold and sinister smile. It's almost there, it's almost there. According to the general's instructions, if you encounter an intruder who cannot be defeated in the mansion, you will try to lead him to the designated place. As for this combination of one person and one tiger, the ghost-faced tiger among them can be affected by her supernatural power, and the level of terror must not exceed the abyss level. As for the man, although he was not affected by her supernatural power, he was not very fast. The only white arc attack that could leave her alone could only cause pain to her and could not affect her actions. She speculated that this man's terror level was probably around the abyss level. Although she couldn't beat this combination, it was more than enough to escape. At the moment, she had already used the trick to lure the two of them out of the imperial city. The tables are about to turn. Think of this. The female ghost moved faster. Not long after, a village came into view. The female ghost looked excited. Arrive. This place seems to be an ordinary village, but in fact it has been occupied by the general's mansion and transformed into a bandit den. It can be said that the palace in the imperial city is just an empty shell, and this is the real general's palace. It is enough to gather an armed force of 3,000 people in a short time. These two people are dead. With this thought, the female ghost soon entered the village. At the same time, he stopped running away. She stopped, turned around, and showed a sinister smile. "You two, I am going to teach you a lesson today. To despise the enemy is to seek death. You gave me a chance to escape. Regardless of whether it was confidence or arrogance, you will pay the price for your arrogance later." The female ghost's back was scorched black, and black smoke rose from time to time. She looked very miserable, but her expression at the moment was extremely arrogant. The other side. The corners of Shen Jian's lips curled up. "I can barely hide the smile on my face." He went inside. Immediately afterwards, a cold voice sounded. "If you come to my territory and don't say hello, you will be killed." "Butler, are they friends or foes?" A bloody figure walked out, 3 meters tall, like a little giant. Wearing a scarlet armor. The face is majestic. The moment he walked out, an abyss-level terrifying oppression invaded the surrounding area. The face of the ghost-faced tiger changed, and he felt as if the tiger's body was holding down 1,000 kilograms of weight, and he almost had to kneel down to feel more relaxed. Top Ghost King. There is no doubt that this is a top Ghost King. If he were in the area of the city god's temple and had the protection of the city god's stone statue, he would certainly be a top Ghost King, but now, he was panicking. Infinitely close to the top Ghost King, it is 2 levels from the top Ghost King. Not to mention, the bloody figure wearing scarlet armor in front of him is not a simple top Ghost King. If the other party wants to kill him, it will be easy. "General, they are intruders. They broke into the palace of the imperial city. They looked like they came with bad intentions and attacked me. I was defeated, so I could only bring them here. It is up to you, General, to decide." The female ghost spoke. Immediately afterwards, she explained, "General, I judge that these two people are only at the abyss level, because they can't catch up with me, but that man has a very weird method of casting thunder and lightning from a distance, but it doesn't fatal." The general waved his hand. "I understand, call everyone out. It's time to show the methods of my general's palace. Hear this." A sinister smile appeared on the female ghost's face. "Everyone, please come out and let these two intruders from the imperial court see our power." The words fell. The whole village seemed to be in riot. A cold aura emerged. They all stared at Shen Jian with a scarlet and bloodthirsty gaze. A rough count. There are 3,100 people in total. Most of them are red coat level or above fierce ghosts. There are more than 15 Ghost King level and Abyss level ones. The rest are all above half step in red clothes. 3,000 ghosts gathered together, and the terrifying yin energy generated in an instant made even the ghost-faced tiger change his expression. As an Abyss level Ghost King, he doesn't even pay attention to red-clothed powerful ghosts, let alone rubbish like half-step red-clothed. But if this number reached 3,000, then even he would have to avoid a head-on confrontation. Not to mention, there is also the top Ghost King, Blood General Ghost, leading them. This is completely a bloody army. At this time, the screams of the female ghost continued. 3,000 versus 2, I have the advantage this time. Even if you are gods, you can't escape even if you have wings. Hear this. The ghost face and tiger body trembled. Facing an army led by a top Ghost King, even an ordinary top Ghost King would be killed on the spot. If such a force entered the imperial city, it would not be surprising to say that it could pierce the sky. And on their side, Shen Jian is the only one with fighting strength. Although he is a city god, if the city god is not in the area under his jurisdiction, his power is not as strong as imagined. Without the blessing of the city god's hall, Could Shen Jian defeat 3,000 soldiers on his own? Think of this. Ghost-faced Tiger secretly glanced at Shen Jian's reaction. Then he was stunned. As the fierce ghosts emerged one after another, the expression on Shen Jian's face gradually became exaggerated. From the corners of his mouth that left no trace, to a grin, and then to a weird smile that couldn't be concealed on his face. Like that, those who don't know would think they are stupid. Facing the eager gazes of 3,000 fierce ghost soldiers, he was still able to laugh out loud. But the ghost-faced tiger felt that this expression seemed familiar. At the beginning, Shen Jian seemed to have shown such a look when he was annihilating the evil ghosts in Zipping Village. The ghost-faced tiger trembled. I feel more and more that the city god next to me is very evil. If not for the fact that he had the seal of the city god, he would have thought that Shen Jian was some kind of evil patriarch. The other side. Seeing such a smile on Shen Jian's face, General Shui looked stunned, but he still said confidently, "This general knows you. At the beginning, I personally went to find you to spread the rumor. You were hiding in the stone statue of the city god on the border of Zipping Village. I couldn't do anything about you. But now that you have appeared here, I guess you have no shelter." General Shui looked at the ghost-faced tiger, and the old god said. Then his eyes turned and fell on Shen Jian. "As for you, the news about the young eunuch of Sining Palace solving the incident at the city god's temple has been spreading in the past few days, causing a storm in the city. I was anxious at the beginning, so I made a stupid move and chose to send people to Sining Palace to assassinate him. Now that I think about it, I am afraid that all this was a conspiracy of the Queen Mother. The purpose is to uncover the driving force behind the city god's temple incident. Your coming here today proves that my idea is correct. Speaking of which..." General Shui paused. "But, today's Yanjai kingdom is no longer worthy of our service. The young emperor doesn't understand anything. The Queen Mother who listens behind the curtain controls the power of the government, monopolizes the imperial power, and suppresses us, but she has always been a female prostitute. It's hard for people like you to achieve great things. You serve the Queen Mother, you might as well serve me. When I lead 3,000 soldiers into the imperial city and take the head from the Queen Mother's neck, the little emperor is not at our mercy. When the time comes, we will take advantage of the emperor. What do you think of the princes dividing up this huge eternal night kingdom?" Hear this. Shen Jian looked confused. This place is not far from the imperial city. If the long sword penetrates directly, there is indeed the possibility of stirring up wind and rain in the imperial city. In the official history, this should also be a major event that affected the turmoil of Yanjai kingdom. However, due to his intervention, not only the disaster in the city god's temple was solved in advance, but also the general was exposed in advance. If this matter can be resolved, the progress of reversing the fate of the Yanjai kingdom may be increased by more than 10%. And these 3,000 soldiers were simply a buffet on the ground, and he couldn't bear it. Shen Jian raised his eyes. There was silence for a few seconds. Everyone present also stared at him. All of them showed ferocious looks. There is a sense of déjà vu that if you don't accept it, you will vote. Especially the female ghost who screamed at the beginning looked at him with a sinister smile. No matter whether Shen Jian refuses or accepts, her goal has been achieved. If she refuses, she will take revenge. Accept it, and you will be colleagues from now on. As the housekeeper of the general's mansion, she still understands this. But she hoped Shen Jian would refuse. Moment. Shen Jian grinned. Brother, your reward is not attractive enough, but you are so generous and willing to give me such glory and wealth. If I don't express it, it will seem like I don't know how to behave. But I'm new here, so I don't have anything to give as a gift, and the general's mansion is full of everything, so if you want to give something special, give it to me. Speaking of which, The expression on Shen Jian's face became increasingly weird. I'll give you a show. How do you feel about the fate of a broken family and scattered wives and children? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 442. To give others a fate of ruined families and scattered wives and children? You really know how to give gifts. Hear this. General Shui's face suddenly turned cold. Since Shen Jian doesn't know how to praise, he no longer has any expectations. When it comes to his enemies, he has always eliminated them at their root. At this time, General Shui smiled sinisterly and said, if you have the ability to get this ghost-faced tiger monster off the stone statue of the city god, I admit that you have some ability, but this is not the city god's temple. Facing my 3,000 soldiers, even if you are also the top ghost king, I have to sleep here. Leave your name behind. When I invade the imperial city, I will hold your head on your neck and wave the flag to cheer you up, so that everyone will know the consequences of stubborn resistance. The words fell. The other soldiers also showed terrifying looks. Select people and devour them. It seemed as if it was going to devour Shen Jian completely. The ghost-faced tiger saw this. The tiger's body trembled. He looked at Shen Jian, his eyes seeming to say, brother, are you sure? If we're not sure, let's run away first. My name. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Then he said faintly, only when you touch the corner of my clothes will you be qualified to know my name. Arrogance. In the camp of soldiers, an abyss-level general, the Ghost King, couldn't bear it. Yin energy surged around him. The level of terror is not inferior to that of the ghost-faced tiger. It seems that he is also a fierce ghost who is infinitely close to the top Ghost King. The General Ghost King came out. He looked at Shen Jian with a twisted face, and said ferociously, hey, I haven't tasted the flesh and blood of the palace eunuchs. I heard that the skin is tender, but I don't know how chewy it is. Try. Shen Jian said casually. Just try it. The General Ghost King roared. He quickly approached Shen Jian. At the same time, he seemed to be mumbling something. Supernatural power is at work. You die, you die. Boom. The words have not yet finished. Shen Jian flicked his fingers. A bright white arc suddenly shot out. General Ghost King. Looking at the white thunder in front of him, he was dumbfounded. Damn it. My supernatural powers haven't been activated yet. Just step on your horse and interrupt the spell casting, right? Damn. As this thought arises. Boom. There was a loud bang. An abyss-level Ghost King General exploded on the spot. It broke into several pieces. Fight until you can't finish it. This moment. There was dead silence. All the soldiers who were showing ferocious expressions turned pale. Fell into confusion. The man just flipped out of his mind. Wearing high-quality armor, the general whose terror level was infinitely close to the unbreakable ghost exploded alive. This scene had a very strong psychological impact on the soldiers. He lost his mind and killed one of our generals. Impossible. How is this possible? Is that his supernatural power? How could it be so scary? Hallucination, I must be hallucinating. For a while. The shock in the hearts of the ghosts cannot be described in words. Mainly because they didn't see any supernatural fluctuations in Shen's body, let alone any surge of yin qi. It seemed that with just a flick of a finger, an abyss-level Ghost King was born. In an instant. Shen Jian's image became terrifying. Most people didn't see the blow just now. All they could observe was that Shen Jian's brain collapsed, and then his vision was filled with a burst of white light. Then, there was a loud noise and the commander was exploded. The time interval between this is only within 2 seconds. The other side. General Shui's expression also froze. He subconsciously looked at the female ghost who led Shenjian here. Didn't you say that the thunder attack is not fatal? Female ghost. She was confused. I just feel like the CPU is going to short circuit. This white arc was indeed the original lightning attack. But why does it feel like the damage intensity has increased more than dozens of times? If the original attack had been so powerful, how would she have had the chance to stand here and scream? See this. General Shui seemed to understand something. The female ghost is plotting against Shenjian, and Shenjian is plotting against her. They are both hunters and each other's prey. The female ghost was able to escape, presumably because of the other party's indulgence. Think of this. General Shui understood everything. His face was purple. But seeing the fear spreading among the soldiers, he walked out. The horror spread. Don't panic, we still have the general. At this time, a general spoke to calm the troops. As soon as these words came out, the ghosts came to their senses. Yes. The enemy is terrible. But they still have a general. The general is the second strongest combat force in the entire Yanjai kingdom. Except for the prince with a different surname at the border, no one can compare to the general. They're scared shitless. With the general here, everything will be no problem. That person is strong, but he can't shake the military morale of our general's mansion. Yes, we can win. The ghosts were excited. He looked at the general with expectant eyes. The other side. The general whom the ghosts spoke of now revealed a pair of fearful eyes. He managed to follow the trajectory of the white arc, but it was no use. Because the brain can see it, but the body can't keep up. Once the distance is too close, even if he can react, he will not be able to avoid it. Judging from the intensity of this attack, he didn't think he could resist it. In other words, if there is a bad move, he may end up here. Think of this. General Shui did not dare to be careless at all, and a scarlet light flashed. Supernatural power flowed from the ground and turned into chains made of blood. Various curses were placed on the chains. Death, poisoning, retardation, disintegration, blindness, auditory hallucinations, madness. Waiting for the cursed chains with supernatural effects to be tied towards Shenjian. To this, Shenjian's face was expressionless. His eyes noticed a group of people among the ghosts who were about to slip away. These soldiers seemed to feel that the battle between the top ghost kings could easily affect them, so they prepared to retreat further away. There are also some people who have evil intentions and seem to have plans to escape. Shenjian raised his eyebrows. How could he let go of his favorite prey? Think about it for a moment. Shenjian raised his fingers. A purple plasma cannon flashed out. The cursed chain that annihilated the blood general. And it hit directly behind the group of ghosts. Boom. A deep hole appears in the ground. A large number of soldiers turned into charred corpses. Ghosts. Their eyes widened. Damn it. When you two top ghost kings fight, shouldn't your attacks be tilted towards each other? Can this damn thing be beaten crookedly? You must have learned this from a dog. The ghosts panic. Shrinking back one by one. I was really frightened by Shenjian's accuracy. In addition, the general in their eyes seemed not to dare to approach Shenjian, so he could only cast supernatural curse chains from a distance. Such a situation gave more soldiers the idea of escape. The atmosphere was extremely tense. At this time, Shenjian spoke. Don't be afraid, everyone. In a battle between masters, it is normal for some aftermath to spread out, and it is reasonable to cause small casualties. I suggest you stand still and wait for God's choice. No matter the outcome is good or bad, this is fate's arrangement. What do you think? The words fell. Shenjian fired another purple plasma cannon. At the same time, he serves as a spiritual lecturer and instills ideas. All the soldiers. They were all shocked. God's destiny. Are you a bitch like this all the time, or is it just today? The so-called God's choice depends on you randomly choosing a direction to attack, right? You, a top ghost king, actually have the nerve to use such an attack on a bunch of us little shrimps. What the hell? The ghosts were angry. Each one showed an angry look. But anger is anger, and if you should run away, you still have to run away. Because they all saw it. Not only was the general unable to stop this man, he could not even protect himself, otherwise he would not have watched Shen Jian ignore him and turn to attack his subordinates without doing anything. A long time. Seeing that no one accepted his opinion, Shen Jian tilted his head and thought for a moment, then murmured, "Don't you believe in God? Then why don't you name the ghosts and gods, and I can verify whether your service is sincere." Hear this. The ghosts' faces turned red with anger. The grimaces became distorted. Because Shen Jian's various behaviors seemed to be teasing them. People only care about their own happiness when they are playing with an ant's nest. At the moment, they seemed to be regarded as ants. Being ridiculed by Shen Jian. How can they accept such a thing? However, Shen Jian doesn't care about this. The corners of his mouth quirked up. The one on the left fires purple plasma, and the one on the right fires golden thunder. Violent roars came one after another. Dust flew, buildings collapsed, and screams broke out. Soon, in the chaotic fleeing team, Shen Jian discovered the female ghost who led him at first and then clamored to teach him a lesson. At this time, the female ghost looked at Shen Jian who was approaching with a look of horror. I fell into unreasonable fear in my heart. The knees went weak. Kneel down. A look of deathly ashen expression. She seemed to have made a big mistake. Led this damn man over. This has led to the current tragic situation. Miss Ghost, I said before that I would help you clear away your distracting thoughts and help you start a new life. I am the most honest person. Shen Jian grinned. 5 fingers. That moment. The other person becomes light. Do it all. Shen Jian walked towards General Shui. The ghost-faced tiger also sprang out at this time. With the roar of 100 beasts, it beat all the soldiers along the way to death. It raised its head very proudly and glanced left and right, with a sense of pride that who else would be the hero of the world. Brother, leave this person to me. He came with his chest held high. His eyes were glaring in all directions, even General Blood, the top ghost king, did not pay attention to him. General Shui? Xiaoxiu, do you want to surrender or die? The ghost-faced tiger stood in front of the blood general with domineering attitude, raising his head. The indifference and uninhibitedness in his tone made those who didn't know it think he had just shown how powerful he was, killing everyone. General Blood. He glanced at the ghost-faced tiger. His face was cloudy and uncertain. The yin energy in his body was almost uncontrollable. At the same time, the bloody chains on his body became scarleter. He looked like he was going to fight to the death. Oh my God, brother, he is dishonest. See this. The momentum that the ghost-faced tiger had just soared plummeted. He ran to Shen Jian and complained. Shen Jian glanced at General Shui. What do you think? Do you still want to try?